as we dwell a little bit deeper into the geography of this plain earth that we live on, we come across those little gems now and again, those little pieces of incredible information that's been forgotten or conveniently been misplaced for some reason or another. I'm Nee B, and thank you very much for joining me. This is California Island. Now, as an amateur cartographist, far too much faith has been put and gets put into map makers and explorers of the modern times. The flat earth gets hounded for apparently not having a correct map model, yet we have always had one. Now, here's why I doubt them, folks. It has been conveniently forgotten by the mainstream platforms that for over 300 years, real Earth maps had depicted California as an actual island off the coast of the United States of America, despite it being one of the most important frontiers and discoveries in the world at that time. But maybe you're saying, you must be California tripping, right? Well, nobody today would or could possibly mistake California for an island on her own. But they did, folks. Now, to some of us who know the Earth is flat and California is firmly attached to the rest of mainland North America, as you can ask any globe or flat Earth California, right? Yet for centuries, California was shown on the world maps as an island on her own. Hundreds and hundreds of maps depicting this very strange anomaly. A gentleman by the name of McLaughlin, born the 21st of December 1934, Glenn was a venture capitalist in the Silicon Valley and a past president of Santa Clara County Council, and was famously one of the nation's most top map collectors. He also wrote a book called The Mapping of California as an Island, an illustrated checklist. So one day, Glenn wandered into a London map shop in 1971 where he discovered something very strange that was hanging on the shop's wall, a map from 1663. But on closer inspection, he noticed something that he had never seen before. California was floating like a big green carrot, untethered to the west coast of North America. So he had to buy it, as he loved maps so very much. And there he hung it proud in his entryway to his home, where it quickly became a conversational piece. So it soon grew into a kind of obsession of Glenn's, which sounds kind of familiar. He began to collect many other maps showing California as an island, and to his surprise, folks, there were many maps. Now, he said at first we stored them under the bed, but they were concerned that the cat would urinate on them, so ultimately he bought 2 cases like the ones architects use to store blueprints, and then over the next 4 decades filled them up with more than 800 maps, mostly from the 17th and 18th centuries. Now, at least 800 maps had represented an epic cartographic blunder. Now, California may have always been a little different. She's isolated by high mountains in the east and north and deserts in the south, the ocean to the west, and it has a very unique climate and ecology system too. The idea of California as an island had even existed long before the region had properly been explored and mapped out. So it was around the year 1500 AD that California made its appearance as an island, blessed with an ambiance of gold and populated by beautiful black Amazon-like women who trained griffins and even dined on surplus males. Yummy. Now, maps in the 1500s depicted California as a peninsula, which is slightly closer to the truth because the Baja Peninsula extends roughly 1,000 miles south from the present-day Golden State. But the Spanish expeditions in the early 1600s concluded that California was cut off from the mainland, and so an island she became for centuries. And maps people in the early 1600s were carefully guarded state secrets. They really were. Now, McLaughlin says the story goes that the Dutch raided a Spanish ship and found a secret Spanish map, brought it back to Amsterdam, and then circulated it from there. So in 1622, a British mathematician, Henry Briggs, a globe believer, published an influential article accomplished by a map that clearly showed California as an island. That map was then widely copied by European cartographers for more than a century. That is 100 years, folks. Maps were being drawn, produced, that were very wrong indeed. It was the beginning of the end, though, for California's island phase, when another Jesuit priest named Eusebio Kino, if I pronounced that correctly, led an overland expedition across the top of the Sea of Cortez, and then he wrote a report accompanied by a map in 1705 that cast serious doubts on the idea of California being an actual island. It obviously took more exploration to determine that as an actual fact, but by 1747, King Ferdinand VI of Spain was convinced. He then issued a decree stating that California was once and for all not an island. And just like that, well, it then took almost another century for cartographers to completely abandon the California island notion and rewrite the world's maps yet again. But even in 1752, knowing that she was part of the United States of America, British mapmaker George Foster still created a map called A New and Correct Map of America for His Royal Highness King George II and Frederick, the Prince of Wales, right around the time, though, when Spain, France and Britain were battling to colonise America. That map, folks, was 100% incorrect. They should have used the correct 11th century map made by Al-Biruni. We know it as the azimuthal equidistant projection of the Earth. The USGS, the United States Geological or Geographical Survey, they use it today in 2018, and that's just the start. McLaughlin spent most of his career as a venture capitalist in the Silicon Valley, had over 800 maps in his final collection days, and in the end they were very kindly donated to and now belong to Stanford University. And you have seen a few obviously within this upload. Remember, to all the flat earth doubters that are out there listening or watching, it was only 300 years ago people still thought the Earth was a globe and California was an island all on her own. Over 800 maps depicting that very big mistake. The Earth, yet again, was changed forever in 1947. Please remember, folks, it only takes the right people in the right places to make the right choices or right changes, and obviously vice versa. Today's Goldpeters and Mercator maps that are used to teach and to represent the Earth are totally unreliable sources of country placements. And it is this very reason why the UN and many other organisations, whether regarding boat or air related, including GPS, GPS, all today in 2018 use the azimuthal equidistant projection of the plain Earth, which was correctly made over 10 decades ago. Pre-Google and pre-Wiki. Maybe in another 100 years, people will then start to believe again that the Earth is not a spinning, bold, tilted rock, spinning precociously through an infinite space of infinite spaces. Thanks for watching this upload. Love the Southern Knots. If you really want to, you do help me out there, and obviously take care, stay safe, and I wish you all the luck in the world. Speak to you on the next upload.